As the year 2020 gradually comes to an end, a lot of activities made a remarkable impact on the business community, especially the disruption caused by the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. Well, the second wave is on now, and of course, the End SARS protest. Now, prior to the COVID-19 outbreak, the highest concerns for Nigerian businesses across different sectors were regulatory issues, foreign exchange issues, volatility and fiscal and monetary policy issues. But this year, the major challenges faced by the business community includes liquidity crisis in the foreign exchange market, now sharp exchange rate depreciation, high energy and production costs, disruption of business activities, amongst others. With the rising inflation rate and the current economic recession, the country is currently faced with a very serious issue now at the moment. They're talking about all of this development. Now, experts say most businesses would struggle in 2021. While most MSMEs, which remains the backbone of any economy, will also struggle to survive in the year 2021 amid unfavorable economic conditions, a lot of questions need to be answered. I have joining me live from our Just Studios. He's the former Director General of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, ACCI, Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Ikechukwu.
It is my pleasure. Thank you very much, Tolu.
It's great to have you on the show. Yes, first and foremost, a lot of projections are coming up for 2021. And the most recent one is saying it's looking very bleak. 2021 seems not to be, the projections might not just be what's expected to be. So what do you see moving to 2021? Do you follow all of these projections and reprojections that we see?
Yeah, 2020 has had one of the worst sessions we have had from Q1 to Q2 to 3 to 4, having a whole lot of distortions. Of course, you all know how we ended very well in 2019, and the growth trajectory of 2019 was expected to take us into 2020. Unfortunately, the very low oil price heralded the 2020 year, and it started from there. Of course, we entered into the COVID-19 lockdown, and everything has been history. So we all know that 2020 has been one of the worst years to be experienced. But having said that, the things and the circumstances that made 2020 a disaster year have actually not left us completely. We are all experiencing the second wave of COVID-19, looking like it's even going to be looking worse than the previous. And other circumstances are still there. And so when we see the entire global economy shutting down, and that obviously will affect what is going to happen in Nigeria, it will be difficult to even project up to 1% growth rate because we don't even know what is going to happen next. We don't know the extent of the second wave is going to affect adversely the economy. And so it's good to say we're going to be improving from the negative position we've been registering, and maybe as we improve, we'll see whether the thing will get up to 1% growth. Otherwise, we can't even predict. And don't forget that this prediction is predicated on the price of oil that is going to happen this year. We don't even know what extent is going to happen because that is just what we don't have control over. So to say 1% growth is just to be very patriotic, but let us even see what happens with the developments.
Now, let's look at this very worrisome issue, and it's the shortage in foreign exchange, particularly being made available for businesses and end users. We've seen the central bank all the while trying to defend the naira. We've seen what's been happening across board. And even at the moment, BDCs are saying that they still want to also get into business, talking about Forex dealings. Now, what do you make of Forex challenge and the effect directly on businesses? We know that one way or the other, we need Forex to run businesses.
Yes, the effect of Forex to the entire economic situation of the country is always there and has been there ever since 2017 or 16 actually, when we went into recession. And since then, CBN has been intervening, and of course, many people said at that time that they won't be able to sustain that intervention. And that intervention is still on and on. You know, it should be such that today we expect that a free flow of the economy, of the foreign exchange market, will actually lead to devastation. And so that is why CBN is holding that grip very strongly to ensure that we don't float the foreign exchange market. If they do, it's going to be disastrous. You know, so the intervention is a welcome development, but to what extent that intervention can sustain us is the problem, because right now the rates are not looking so good, and we know the effect of the rates, exchange rates, on the inflation rate that we are seeing today. And of course, CBN has done a good number of things, taken a good number of decisions in order to maintain some stability in the foreign exchange market. But, you know, sometimes when you carry a thing and it's so heavy, all you do is just to carry it for some time and drop it at a time you can no longer carry it. That's the kind of situation I see. Otherwise, we see the scarcity of foreign currency all over the place, and it's affecting a lot of businesses. It's also affecting direct foreign investments and all that. So, but if CBN said they can sustain it, that's a good news to hear from them, and that is very interesting to hear.
Now, stay with the CBN, Dr. Ikechukwu. We've seen that a lot of move towards improving production, the pharmaceutical sector, small and medium enterprises. The central bank is trying to produce or to encourage local content so that we can empower people and create more jobs. But I want to ask you, trillions of naira has been turned into this. We also know of the survival fund that is that also coming from the federal ministry and all of that to address all of these challenges. I'm asking you straight, let's look at the effects of this on the business community. How well do you see this circulate? Some will tell you, yes, we see messages online. Yes, I've received payments for 3 of my staffs, 5 of my staff, you know, and some will tell you that, no, I've applied, I've not been able to get through. It's so difficult, it's cumbersome. To you, you deal with the business people directly. What's the effect of all of these policies of government? Let's get them in straight terms.
It's obviously affecting business. So many people want to have access to this foreign currency and they cannot have it. And so if your business is predominantly an importation-based business and you want to import from all parts of the world and you cannot have access to foreign currency, then it becomes difficult for you to do that. But you see, my take is the fact that when there is a difficulty in business, it becomes an avenue, an opportunity for you to think inwards and expand your horizon of business thoughts, and to think, instead of depending on imported products, is there anything I can produce locally or I can buy locally and export from this country in order for me to earn some foreign currency? You know, so it is time for business people to also think differently from the normal trajectory they have been passing through, to see that if you have been a net importer of products, is there anything that can make you start exporting right now? And so people need to start changing their thoughts about business and see how they will not become complacent, obviously, just because of the economic situation. So we need to start thinking differently in order for us to not to suffer so adversely from the situation in the country. Otherwise, there is indeed scarcity of foreign currency, and we need to cope with it. And it's not only this country; it is a general situation and a global situation issue. Yes.
Dr. Ikechukwu, yes. Allow me come in here. I'm now talking about interventions now, interventions from the CBN to the SME sector, improving lending to the real sector at this time. Yeah. The last time the central bank governor spoke to us, he said about 3.5% to the GDP, or is what the central bank has contributed to this economy. I know in cash it's about 3.5 trillion naira, if I am correct. But I know that a lot of money, trillions of naira, has been pushed into these sectors. I'm talking about the effect. How well are business people accessing these funds?
Frankly, I can give it to CBN to have actually intervened in that area very well. They have pushed in a lot of money into the system to be accessed by MSMEs. Unfortunately indeed, these funds are not reaching the real people that are supposed to access them. How they are disseminated, how they are supposed to reach these people may be the problem. Many people don't even know how to access these funds. The real MSMEs that are supposed to access these funds are not accessing them, because when funds are made available for certain sectors, you see that everybody, even people who are civil servants, will apply for those facilities or for those grants and claim to be in those businesses. And in fact, those monies will be distributed to them. So many times, CBN may mean well in distributing certain funds to certain sectors of the economy, but in most cases, it does not reach the people, the ultimate people that are supposed to have access to these funds, and this is the unfortunate side of it. Whether these funds are enough, they may not be enough to reach the number of people that desire them, but even the extent that are made available may not even reach the target people, because everybody will claim to be an MSME. Everybody will claim to be a farmer. Everybody will claim to be, involved in one business or the other, even when they are civil servants or even when they are National Assembly people. So those are the problems. There must be a measure of who gets this thing, and there must be the people targeted to get such funds. So until we deal with that problem, we'll see these funds going to the wrong places and going to the wrong people.
Okay, Dr. Chidoke, we've spoken many times about the monetary and the fiscal side. I know we've always talked about that. We've stayed so much on the monetary side. Now let's see the fiscal side. We see the borders being reopened according to directive by the federal government. And very soon, we are aware that by 1st of January, the FCFTA would also take effect as the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Some are saying that was the reason why the borders were reopened. But to you, what's your assessment? We shut the borders for more than a year. What were the positives? Eventually, we had to open up.
Yeah, the positives we could see in some of the products we manufacture locally. We saw a good number of rice farmers emerging. We saw a good number of people becoming multimillionaires from farming rice, and the value chain of rice, actually, the processing and many other people. That was actually the effect of the border that was closed. But conversely, it also affected the exports we were used to doing, because we're in a market where many West African countries were depending on the Nigerian market for most of their supplies. So we also saw that most of our traders could not export those things they used to export to some West African countries. So while we gained in some, we lost a lot in some, and that also affected our balance of payment. And but it's a good thing that the borders have been opened, because the benefits are still going to be there. We're going to be having most of our products being exported, and many of those West African countries are going to come in and buy our products. However, a lot of people say it's going to affect us adversely, being a net importer of products. So many of the European countries are going to be using the West African countries as a base and be moving those products into Nigeria. That's what they say, but we see that give and take, we're still going to be growing gradually from all those volumes of business going to happen.
Dr. Chidoke, how competitive is our manufacturing sector and other sectors to play well in this large market? We're talking about 1.2 billion people and a lot of money here. How competitive are we to play in this market?
Yeah, I can tell you we are not competitive at all in the rich sector, in the manufacturing sector. We are not competitive because when you compare many other countries within Africa, I've been to some East African countries and some West African countries, you just know that we are nowhere compared to where we used to be in the early 70s, in the 80s, and even in the 90s. You can agree with me today that a good number of factories shut down all over the country, and everybody is dependent on imported goods. The reasons are very clear because of the high cost of production, which actually arose from the energy we don't have, the power we don't have, or even if we have, comes to us at a very expensive rate. Every manufacturer is using generator and buying diesel at a very high cost. And of course, we know a good number of companies have shut down and have gone to some West African countries and be producing from there and be coming in here. So we're not competitive at all. So government needs to do a lot to ensure that the competitiveness of our country has to come back in the real sector. And of course, if that happens, a lot of jobs are going to be created again. Many people are jobless today just because our factories are no longer working. Very few of them are just working. And so that is one area to concentrate on. And if we do that, probably our economy will start growing.
Indeed, Dr. Chijoke, let's round up on this note. As we move a few days now into 2021, as a business person, what mindset are you moving with as we ascend into this very new year, a new year we've never seen before?
Yeah, my expectation is the fact that we need to look at all those things that have consumed a lot of our foreign exchange. What is the major thing? The first thing is the petroleum product. If we continue to import petroleum products like we've been, we'll continue in this vicious cycle of always looking for foreign currency. So all we need to do is just to make sure that our refineries start working. When the refineries start working, or of course the private refineries that are supposed to start working by 2021, when they start working, then we know that we're no longer going to import the petroleum products. And the good thing about producing locally is the fact that there are many other byproducts of refining that can be exported, and so that when we export all those byproducts, we can get more and more foreign exchange. You know, so once we're able to even deal with that aspect alone, you'll see that we're going to save a lot of foreign exchange, and that is going to turn us around.
Indeed, Dr. Chijoke Amos, thank you very much for your time. He's the former Director General of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I appreciate you sharing your expertise with us on the show today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
And compliments of the season again.
Thank you very much.
All right, I appreciate your time.